You're tuned to Dead Signal, the frequency that hums between dreams and the grave. Tonight's transmission carries two fragments from the mind of H.P. Lovecraft, recovered from the edge of sanity. The first comes from the distant land of Ulthar, a place ruled not by kings or men, but by the quiet vengeance of cats, a dark fable whispered beneath a blood-red moon. The Cats of Ulthar. Our second story drags us back to the waking world, to the swamps of Florida, where two explorers dug too deep into forbidden scripts, and only one returned to speak. His words are all that remain. The statement of Randolph Carter, before the signal stabilizes. Remember, like, subscribe, can keep the line open. Because when the broadcast ends, the silence starts to listen. Transmission begins now. It is said that in Ulthar, which lies beyond the river sky, no man may kill a cat. This is a law held sacred, a truth I can verily believe as I gaze upon my own cat, purring contentedly before the fire. There's a mystery to them, isn't there? A sense of ancient knowledge in their eyes. The cat is cryptic, a silent guardian of strange things that we humans cannot see. They carry the soul of ancient Egypt, whispers of forgotten cities from lands of myth and legend. They are kin to the lords of the jungle, heirs to the secrets of a primal, forgotten world. The Sphinx is their cousin, and they speak her silent language. But the cat is older still, remembering things even the Sphinx has forgotten. But this law, this reverence for cats in Ulthar, was not always so. It was born from a dark and curious tale. Before this decree, there lived an old cotter and his wife. Their cottage was small, almost swallowed by the shadows of sprawling oak trees at the back of a neglected yard. These two, they had a particular, cruel hobby. They delighted in trapping and slaying their neighbors' cats. Why? The reasons are lost to time. Perhaps they hated the sound of a cat's cry in the dead of night. Perhaps they despised the sight of them slinking through gardens at twilight. Whatever the reason, they took a grim pleasure in their work. The villagers would hear strange, unsettling sounds coming from the hovel after dark, and they imagined the worst. But no one dared to confront the old couple. There was something about the cold, withered expressions on their faces, something about the dark isolation of their home, that inspired a deep and chilling fear. So the people of Ulthar, though they loved their feline companions, feared the old couple more. They did their best to keep their cherished pets away from that dreadful cottage under the dark trees. But sometimes a cat would wander, and when it did, and those terrible sounds were heard in the night, the owner could only lament in silence, perhaps trying to find some small comfort that it wasn't one of their children who had vanished. The people of Ulthar were simple folk, you see. They loved their cats, but they did not know the true ancient origins of these creatures. Then one day, everything changed. A caravan of strange wanderers from the south rolled into the narrow, cobbled streets of Ulthar. They were unlike any travelers the village had seen before. Dark-skinned and mysterious, they told fortunes for silver in the marketplace and bought colorful beads from the merchants. No one knew where they came from. They spoke in strange prayers, and the sides of their wagons were painted with curious figures, human bodies with the heads of cats, hawks, rams, and lions. Their leader wore a strange headdress, with two horns and a polished disc between them. Among this singular group was a small boy named Means. He had no father or mother, his only companion, a tiny black kitten. The plague had been cruel to him, but it had left him this small, furry creature to soothe his sorrow. And for a child, the playful antics of a kitten can be a powerful balm. Meanies could often be seen smiling, playing with his graceful little friend on the steps of a brightly painted wagon. On the third morning of the wanderer's stay, Meanies awoke to find his kitten gone. He sobbed aloud in the marketplace, his small body shaking with grief. Some of the villagers, hearing his cries, took pity on him. They told him about the old cotter and his wife, and the terrible sounds heard in the night. As Meanies listened, his sobbing quieted. It was replaced by a deep meditation, and then, By prayer. He stretched his small arms towards the sun and began to chant in a language none of the villagers could understand. Not that they were trying very hard. Their attention was captured by the sky. As the boy prayed, the clouds above began to shift and twist into the most peculiar shapes. Shadowy, nebulous figures of hybrid creatures seemed to form, crowned with those same horn-flanked discs the caravan leader wore. Of course, nature is full of such illusions, ready to impress an imaginative mind. That very night, the wanderers left Ulthar as quietly as they had arrived, never to be seen again. But as the village settled down, a strange and unsettling quiet fell. The people noticed something was wrong. In all of Ulthar, there was not a single cat to be found. From every hearth, the familiar, comforting presence had vanished. Large cats, small cats, black, gray, striped, yellow, and white all gone. Old Cronan, the burgomaster, was furious. He swore the dark folk had taken the cats as revenge for the killing of Mini's kitten. He cursed the caravan and the little boy. But Neith, the lean notary, had a different theory. He argued that the old cotter and his wife were the more likely suspects. Their hatred of cats was infamous, and it had been growing bolder. Still, no one dared to approach the sinister couple, not even when little Atal, the innkeeper's son, came running with a wild story. He swore that at twilight he had seen all the cats of Ulthar gathered in that cursed yard. They were pacing, he said, slowly and solemnly in a perfect circle around the cottage, 2 by 2, as if performing some ancient, unheard-of ritual. The villagers didn't know what to make of a tale from such a small boy. They feared the evil pair had somehow charmed the cats to their doom, but they decided to wait, to not confront the old cotter until they saw him outside his dark and repellent home. That night, Ulthar went to sleep in a state of angry confusion. But when the people awoke at dawn, behold, every cat was back at its accustomed hearth. They were all there, none missing, but they were different. They appeared sleek and fat, purring with a deep, sonorous contentment. The villagers talked amongst themselves, marveling at the mystery. Old Cranan still insisted it was the wanderers, arguing that no cat ever returned alive from the old couple's cottage. But everyone agreed on one thing. The cat's behavior was exceedingly strange. For 2 whole days, not a single cat in Ulthar would touch its food. They refused their portions of meat, turned their noses up at their saucers of milk. They did nothing but doze by the fire or in the sun, lazy and content. It was a full week before the villagers noticed that no lights were appearing at dusk in the windows of the cottage under the trees. Then the lean notary, Neith, remarked that no one had seen the old man or his wife since that strange night the cats were away. After another week, the burgomaster decided he must act. Overcoming his fear, he resolved to call at the silent dwelling as a matter of duty. He was careful, though, taking with him Shung the blacksmith and Thal the stonecutter as witnesses. When they arrived, the cottage was unnervingly quiet. They broke down the frail door and stepped inside. What they found would be seared into the memory of Ulthar forever. There on the earthen floor lay 2 cleanly picked human skeletons, and in the shadowy corners of the room, a number of singular, dark beetles were crawling. There was much talk among the burgesses of Ulthar after that day. Zath, the coroner, argued at length with Neith, the notary. Cronan, Shang, and Thul were bombarded with questions. Even little Atal, the innkeeper's son, was questioned closely and rewarded with a sweetmeat for his story. They talked of the old couple, of the dark wanderers, of little Means and his black kitten. They talked of the boy's prayer, the shapes in the clouds, and the strange, solemn procession of the cats. And of course, they talked of what was found in that cottage under the dark trees. And in the end, after all the talk and all the questions, the burgesses of Ulthar passed that remarkable law, a law that is still spoken of by traders in distant lands and travelers on faraway roads. Namely, that in Ulthar, no man may kill a cat. Thank you for joining me on this journey into a classic tale of cosmic justice. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more tales from the shadows. Let me know in the comments what you think happened that fateful night in Ulthar. Until next time, stay curious. Input. The full text of the statement of Randolph Carter by H.P. Lovecraft. Gentlemen, I will say it again. Your questions are pointless. Keep me here if you wish. Lock me away or execute me, but I cannot tell you any more than I already have. Everything I remember, I've shared with complete honesty. Nothing has been twisted, nothing hidden. If my story seems vague, it's only because of the dark cloud that has settled over my mind. A cloud brought on by the very horrors I witnessed. I must repeat, I do not know what happened to Harley Warren, though I think I almost hope that he has found peaceful oblivion, if such a blessed thing even exists. Yes, for 5 years, I was his closest friend, a partner in his terrifying research into the unknown. I won't deny it, even with my memory so shattered. Your witness probably did see us on the Gainesville pike, heading toward Big Cypress Swamp, close to midnight on that awful night. Yes, we carried electric lanterns, spades, and a strange coil of wire with devices attached. I will confirm that. Those items were all part of the single, hideous scene that is now burned into my very soul. But of what happened next, of why I was found alone, dazed, at the edge of the swamp the following morning, I know nothing beyond what I have told you, time and time again. You tell me there's nothing in that swamp that could possibly explain my story. I can only reply that I know what I saw. Perhaps it was a vision, a nightmare. I pray it was. But it's all my mind has left of those shocking hours after we left the world of men. As for why Harley Warren never returned, only he or his ghost, or some nameless thing I can't describe, could tell you. You all know of Harley Warren's strange studies. To some extent, I shared them. His library was vast, filled with rare, forbidden books. I read all of them that were in languages I could understand, but those were few compared to the ones I couldn't. Most, I think, were in Arabic. But the book that led to the end, the one he carried in his pocket out of this world, it was written in characters I had never seen before. Warren would never tell me what was inside. As for what we were studying, do I have to say it again? I no longer fully grasp it, and I think that's a mercy. They were terrible subjects, things I pursued more out of a reluctant fascination than any real desire. Warren always had a hold on me. Sometimes I was afraid of him. I remember shivering at the look on his face the night before it happened, as he talked endlessly about his theory. A theory of why certain corpses never decay, but lie perfectly preserved in their tombs for 1,000 years. But I don't fear him now. Now, I fear him. I suspect he has seen horrors far beyond anything I could imagine. I have no clear memory of our goal that night. It was tied to something in that ancient book from India, the one in an undecipherable script that Warren had received a month prior. But I swear, I don't know what we expected to find. Your witness saw us near midnight, heading for the swamp. That's probably true, but I don't recall it clearly. The only image seared into my mind is of one scene much later. It must have been long after midnight, because a pale, waning crescent moon was high in the misty sky. The place was an ancient cemetery, so ancient I trembled at the signs of its immemorial age. It was in a deep, damp hollow, overgrown with thick grass, moss, and strange, creeping weeds. A vague stench hung in the air, a smell my mind bizarrely connected to rotting stone. Neglect and decay were everywhere. I had the chilling feeling that Warren and I were the first living things to break a silence that had lasted for centuries. Over the rim of the hollow, the pale moon shone through foul vapors, revealing a ghastly array of antique slabs, urns, and mausoleums, all crumbling, moss-covered, and stained with moisture. My first clear memory is of stopping with Warren before a half-obliterated tomb and dropping the things we were carrying. I saw that I had an electric lantern and 2 spades. Warren had a similar lantern and a portable telephone set. We didn't speak. We knew our purpose. Without a word, we took our spades and began clearing away the grass and earth from a flat, archaic burial slab. After we uncovered its surface, which was made of 3 immense granite pieces, we stepped back. Warren seemed to be making some kind of calculation. Then he went back to the tomb. Using his spade as a lever, he tried to pry up the slab nearest to a crumbling ruin. He couldn't do it alone and motioned for me to help. Together, our combined strength finally loosened the stone. We heaved it up and tipped it to one side. The removal of the slab revealed a black opening. A rush of nauseating gas burst forth, so foul that we stumbled back in horror. After a moment, we cautiously approached the pit again. The fumes were less intense. Our lanterns lit up the top of a flight of stone steps, dripping with some vile fluid from deep within the earth. The damp walls were crusted with niter. It was then, for the first time, that my memory records speech. Warren spoke to me in his calm, mellow voice, strangely untroubled by our surroundings. "I'm sorry, Carter," he said, "but I have to ask you to stay on the surface. It would be a crime to let anyone with your frail nerves go down there. You can't imagine, even from what you read, the things I'm about to see and do. This is fiendish work, and I doubt any man without nerves of steel could see it through and come up alive and sane. I don't mean to offend you. Heaven knows I'd be glad to have you with me. But the responsibility is mine, and I can't drag a bundle of nerves like you down to probable death or madness. I'm telling you, you can't imagine what it's really like. But I promise to keep you informed over the telephone every step of the way. You see? I've got enough wire here to reach the center of the earth and back." I can still hear his calm words. I remember arguing, desperately wanting to go with him into those tomb depths, but he was unmovable. At one point, he threatened to call off the entire expedition if I insisted. That worked, since only he held the key to whatever we were doing. I remember all of this, even though I no longer know what we were searching for. After I reluctantly agreed, Warren picked up the reel of wire and adjusted the instruments. He nodded, and I took one of the telephone receivers, seating myself on an old, discolored gravestone near the open hole. He shook my hand, shouldered the coil of wire, and disappeared into that indescribable tomb. For a moment, I saw the glow of his lantern and heard the rustle of the wire. Then the light vanished, as if he'd rounded a bend in the staircase. The sound faded just as quickly. I was alone, connected to the unknown depths only by that thin green wire. In the silence of that dead city, my mind began to play tricks on me. The grotesque monuments seemed to take on a life of their own. Amorphous shadows flitted in the darkness, moving past the crumbling tombs in what looked like some blasphemous ritual. They couldn't have been cast by the pale moon. I kept checking my watch by my lantern's light and listened anxiously at the receiver. For more than 15 minutes, there was nothing. Then a faint clicking. I called down to my friend, my voice tense. As anxious as I was not prepared for the words that came from that unholy vault, in a voice more alarmed and trembling than I had ever heard from Harley Warren. He who had been so calm just moments before now, whispered in a way more terrifying than any scream. "God, if you could see what I am seeing." I couldn't answer. I was speechless. I could only wait. Then his frantic voice came again. "Carter, it's terrible, monstrous, unbelievable." This time, I found my voice and flooded the transmitter with questions. "Warren, what is it? What is it?" Again, his voice, hoarse with fear, now laced with despair. "I can't tell you, Carter. It's it's beyond thought. I dare not tell you. No man could know it and live. Great God." I never dreamed of this. Silence again, broken only by my own incoherent, shuddering questions. Then, Warren's voice, rising in wilder panic. "Carter, for the love of God, put back the slab and get out of here if you can. Quick, leave everything and run for it. It's your only chance. Do as I say, and don't ask me to explain." I heard him, but I could only repeat my frantic questions. Around me were tombs and darkness and shadows. Below me, some danger beyond human imagination. But my friend was in that danger, and through my fear, I felt a flicker of resentment that he thought I would just abandon him. More clicking, and then a piteous cry from Warren. "Beat it. For God's sake, put back the slab and beat it, Carter." Something about the boyish slang from my terrified friend broke my paralysis. I shouted my decision into the phone. "Warren, brace up. I'm coming down." But my offer was met with a scream of pure despair. "Don't. You can't understand. It's too late and it's my own fault. Put back the slab and run. There's nothing you or anyone can do now." His tone shifted again, becoming softer, as if he'd resigned himself to his fate. But it was still tense with worry for me. Quick before it's too late. I tried to ignore him, tried to move, to rush to his aid. But his next whisper found me still frozen in horror. "Carter, hurry. It's no use. You must go. Better one of us than two. The slab." A pause. More clicking. Then Warren's faint voice. "It's nearly over now. Don't make it harder. Cover up these damned steps and run for your life. You're losing time. So long, Carter. Won't see you again." Here, Warren's whisper swelled into a cry that rose into a shriek, filled with all the horror of the ages. "Curse these hellish things' legions. My God, beat it. Beat IT." After that ... silence, I don't know how long I sat there, stunned. For what felt like an eternity, I whispered, muttered, and screamed into that telephone. "Warren! Warren! Answer me? Are you there?" And then came the final horror. The unbelievable, unthinkable, almost unspeakable thing. I said that ages seemed to pass after Warren's last shriek, and that only my own cries broke the silence. But after a while, there was another clicking in the receiver. I strained my ears. I called down again. "Warren, are you there?" And in answer, I heard the thing that brought this cloud over my mind. I won't try to explain that thing, that voice. I can't even describe it. The first words stole my consciousness and created a blank in my memory that stretches all the way to my awakening in the hospital. What can I say about that voice? Was it deep, hollow, gelatinous, remote, inhuman? It was the end of my experience, and it is the end of my story. I heard it, and I knew no more. I heard it as I sat petrified in that unknown cemetery, surrounded by crumbling stones and rotting tombs. I heard it well up from the deepest depths of that damnable open grave, as I watched monstrous shadows dance beneath a cursed, waning moon. And this is what it said: "You fool, Warren is dead." And so our journey through the unknown comes to a close. We've explored two fragments from the haunted mind of H.P. Lovecraft, discovering a world where curiosity is a curse, and even the smallest creature might harbor the oldest of gods. From the shadowed streets of Ulthar to the swamps of Randolph Carter's dreams, we've barely scratched the surface of the cosmic horrors that lie in wait. Beneath the soil and under the stars, the truth stirs nameless, eternal, waiting for another to listen, another to call it forth. But remember this: it's not the darkness that fears the light, but the light that fears what truly sleeps within the dark. If you enjoyed this dive into the abyss, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the void. Until next time, keep your candles lit.